Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Around the NBA. And who better to get this episode started off with than the GOAT himself, the greatest to ever do it, the greatest to ever lace a pair of boots and get on the court, LeBron James, or as we call him, King James himself. This is the Airborne Podcast. I'm your host, Ajit, and let's get it started. To start things off, I would like to bring a topic to y'all and have you guys kind of debate it in the comment section, but I want you guys to tell me who you think LeBron James' all-time teammate was to ever play with them in his 17-year career. Right now, I could say that Anthony Davis is probably the best talent, but the best teammate I would say is Dwayne Wade, based on the fact that LeBron James didn't know how to win. He didn't win any championships when he went to Miami in 2010. And he learned all that from D. Wade. And even though they didn't win the first year they were together, Dwayne Wade pulled him over that summer after they lost to the Dallas Mavericks in 2011 and was like, listen, bro, if we're going to win a championship or win multiple championships, you're going to have to be the best player on this team, and I'm giving you the keys to do it, and I'll be your 1B. And ever since then, they won back-to-back chips, but they did end up losing eventually to San Antonio in the final year they were together. But that was all because Dwayne Wade was breaking down with injuries even during the times they won the chips. Like Dwayne Wade just wasn't the same player as he was when LeBron first got to Miami. And you can't forget about Kyrie Irving as well. Kyrie Irving hit the biggest shot to save LeBron's career. Really, I mean, he hit the big shot on Steph Curry in Game 7 to put them up by 3, 92-89. And you can't also forget about Ray Allen, who also saved his legacy and hit that shot to tie the game at 95 against the Spurs in 2013 when Kawhi and Ginobili both missed crucial free throws, and Greg Popovich decided to take Tim Duncan out when they needed the rebound the most. But let me know down below and who you think was his best teammate. Next up, I would like to get it started and travel over to Phoenix and talk about the Suns, because they started off the season hot. They've kind of cooled off a bit, but man, does Devin Booker look good. And he looks like he's on the trajectory to make his first ever All-Star game. And it kind of helps that Klay Thompson is not... he's not going to make the team based on the fact that he's out for the year. And they're still winning. Ricky Rubio, Aaron Baines, they're having a perfect positive influence on the team and bringing a winning culture. James Jones, who's the GM of that team, definitely did an amazing job bringing positive talent to it. And, Rubio is one of the best to ever do it in terms of, being a floor general, being an amazing facilitator. It didn't work out with him in Minnesota. It definitely worked out in Utah, but they just didn't want to pay him. And now he's in Phoenix, and he's doing his thing, and he's helping Devin Booker, win games. And now whenever he puts up those big numbers, it counts for something because they're winning, and they're not empty stats like they were in these past few years, where Devin Booker would put up 70 points against the Boston Celtics, but they would lose the game. Like, that didn't mean anything because it was on a losing effort. Can you imagine? They drafted DeAndre Ayton, right? And he's not even in the lineup right now based on he got suspended for 25 games because he failed a drug test. Can you imagine if you take out DeAndre Ayton, if they hadn't drafted him number 1 overall and they drafted Luka? Can you just take in that backcourt of Luka and Devin Booker and how nasty that would be and how good they would probably be doing right now? I mean, he could play the point guard or maybe even play the small forward, and they still might have signed Rubio. Who knows? But just think about that. Although it would take away from the Porzingis-Luka combo, which is kind of rocky to start things off, although they're doing a really good job and they're winning games, I really think that Luka-Devin Booker combos it would be something else. The only thing that might make me change my mind is maybe if they take away from each other's talent to a certain degree. But let me know what you guys think. Golden State. where to start things off with these guys. Coming into the season, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, D'Angelo Russell, Klay Thompson were all like, yeah, KD left, but D'Angelo's a perfect piece. He's a long-term piece for us, and the fact that people were doubting them to make the playoffs was, blasphemy. But to be honest, I mean, with Klay out, Steph and Draymond weren't even doing anything. You saw the first game opening night. Clippers came in and blew them off the court on their first ever game in that new billion-dollar arena. They picked the worst time to move to that arena, and they left all their loyal Oracle fans behind, even though it's only like a 20-minute drive apparently. And Steph Curry, I mean, speedy recovery to him based on he obviously broke his hand, and due to Aaron Baines falling on it, and he's going to be out for at least 3 months or so. And they said they're going to shut him down for the season, but I mean, you never know. And Draymond keeps coming in and out of the lineup, and they've been inconsistent this whole season. They're trying to develop their younger talent to kind of get a bench, and they're looking forward to the draft coming up. They said Bob Myers is going over with a bunch of scouts to check out LaMelo Ball, because he's balling out down there in Lithuania. He just had a 32-point triple-double the other night. But, I mean, with them being out, that's why you see all the bottom playoff borderline contenders trying to fight for that last spot, because Golden State isn't going to be there this season. Even if Steph Curry does come back in 3 months and Draymond gets healthy, and even if there's a chance that Klay can come back after the All-Star break, I still think it's going to be a little too late. That team looks horrible. That's like G League quality. Oh, man. And what happened to the Portland Trailblazers, talking about trash teams? I mean, I know they signed Melo. They won their game against Chicago, and Melo dropped 25, and he said that he's not looking for no farewell tour, and he's looking to come back and stay in the league for a while. But that was the first game they won in I don't know how long, but they're well below 500. They're like 4 or 5-12, I believe. And they were a team that was in the conference finals last year, who took the second place Denver Nuggets to in the semis to 7 games to advance to the conference finals. And then they ended up eventually getting swept off the court, blowing away 3 17-point second half leads. And I mean, they're fighting for a playoff spot, the bottom half, because the top half of that Western Conference is tough. You got the Clippers and Lakers, you got Houston, you got Utah, and you got Denver. That's 5 teams right there. So 6, 7, 8. It could be Dallas, could be Portland, it could be Sacramento. They've been on a tear ever since De'Aaron Fox went down. Bogdanovich has been a big positive for them in the starting lineup, and that West looks tough, and they're. I mean, the East isn't as deep as the West, but the top 4 teams in the East are still very, very competitive. But that West, man, that's loaded. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Talking about the Western Conference, for years, everyone's been saying that like the bottom teams in the East shouldn't be allowed to make it to the playoffs because their records are always, worse than the ones at the bottom half of the West. And Adam Silver and the NBA have been in talks about changing some rules for the 2021-2022 season. And they're thinking about reseeding the 4 conference finalists when it comes to the 2021-2022 season. And they're thinking about doing a 30-team in-season tournament and postseason play in games. And they're thinking about reducing 82 regular season games to about 78. I don't see how that's going to make a big difference because there's only 4 games, but you never know. I think they got to eliminate back-to-backs so that people can't use excuses to sit out on certain games. But what do you guys think about these changes? Let me know if you think they're gonna make a difference. Would you like to see the bottom East teams not make it and just have the top 16 teams without conferences making it to the playoffs and just letting them battle out? Because the travel and stuff is all gonna change if that does happen, and I don't know how complicated that's gonna make things or what kind of advantage it's gonna give certain teams when playoffs come around during that season. It's kind of like they're going to do a test run, I'm pretty sure, because it's going to be similar to this coaches challenge thing that they're trying this year, which half the coaches don't like and half the coaches do like. And yeah. What do you guys think about the Indiana Pacers? Because those guys, getting Brogdon was a very underrated pickup. Milwaukee lost a good piece from their lineup for basically nothing. I mean, they got a few picks, but you can never guarantee that you're going to cash out on those picks. And a backcourt of Brogdon, a healthy Brogdon and a healthy Oladipo could be a serious contender in the East. We haven't seen it play out yet because Oladipo is still coming back from recovery. But I would put them in the top 5, top 6 maybe. I'd put Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Toronto, Boston, and I would put Indiana I'd put Miami and then Indiana. So I say top 6. And then the last 2 seeds can be anyone between Brooklyn, Orlando, Detroit, even though Detroit is playing like ass right now and Orlando has a few injuries. I don't see any other team coming out. New York is a lost cause. Atlanta Hawks, they've been on a drop-off ever since Trae Young got injured for a few games and then John Collins got suspended. So they don't look like they're going to make the playoffs. Even though at the beginning of the season they did definitely look like a playoff team with the way Trae Young was playing. And they were saying, the way Trae Young was playing at the beginning, they were saying, oh, maybe the trade did work out for both teams, which I still think it did. But my thing is, Luka right now looks like he's playing on a whole nother level, and it's absolutely ridiculous what he's doing right now. He's averaging basically a triple-double in the last 10 games. And Luka Doncic doesn't even look like he's in his second year right now. He looks like he's been a vet that's been in the game for a decade, and the way that he plays, the pace he plays at, the tight handles that he has for his size, and the amazing vision, like the passes he makes, the last one to ever do that was LeBron James, and he looks like he's on pace to break every one of LeBron James's records with triple doubles, points, all of that. You saw what he did in Houston the other day. He slapped up. He put Harden in his place. He went for 41 basically, and 41 and 10 assists, and they definitely look like a team to fear for years to come. And Luka and Porzingis definitely look like a dynamic duo that is gonna make some serious noise in the league for the next 10 years. Talking about European players, let's go to the San Antonio Spurs, which really barely has any more European players to begin with. I mean, the Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan era is finally officially over. All 3 of their jerseys are retired, and a new era has finally begun. Tim Duncan has moved to the assistant coach bench this year, and it looks like the San Antonio Spurs are not going to make the playoffs for the first time in 22 years since drafting Tim Duncan. Drafting Tim Duncan. Their defense is horrible. DeRozan's getting exposed on that end. Although he's scoring the basket at will, that team just doesn't look like it meshes. And LaMarcus Aldridge can score too, but they're just not that good on the defensive end. And they're getting beat by low-level teams, but they're getting demolished by the top-tier teams. So they're kind of in the bottom half of the Western Conference, and I feel like sometime down the road, I believe DeRozan will get traded, and I believe LaMarcus Aldridge will get traded, and they're going to look to get some young pieces back because DeRozan doesn't look like he's going to get an extension from San Antonio after the way they've been playing this season and last season, kind of. I mean, at least they made the playoffs last year, but this year they do not look like they're going to make the playoffs. There's way too many teams, and it's too loaded in the West for them to have a slip like this and then make up all that ground before April. It's crazy to see how much DeRozan was, cherished and praised when he was in Toronto, and in that system, and the amount of love he got, and to see him go down this way in San Antonio, it's kind of sad to see, because when we traded him for Kawhi Leonard, you expected it to be something that would work on both sides, not just DeRozan but Jakob Poeltl too. But it just doesn't seem like the fit is there. And I mean, it worked out for the Raptors because they won a chip the 1 year they had Kawhi, even though he left and went back to LA. But yeah, I just felt like I had to bring that up because it's just sad. You can see him; he's got ejected like a few times in San Antonio, and he's only been there for like a year and a few months, really. Milwaukee Bucks, the top of the East. Giannis, definitely an MVP contender right now in the top two, probably number 2 after LeBron James. And they're finding ways to win games without Chris Middleton in the lineup and after losing Brogdon. He came out the other day after one game about a week ago, and he's like, imagine if we still had Brogdon, how nasty this team would be. And he can talk all the ish he wants, but at the end of the day, regular season does not matter. If you don't come up big in the playoffs, then all this talk doesn't mean squat. And you saw that last year. They got the number 1 seed. They had the best record in the league, and they were up 2-0 to the Raptors until Nick Nurse decided to use a defensive scheme that just got Giannis out of his comfort zone, and we ended up winning 4 straight, taking them out in 6. And the Raptors have had their numbers twice now in the playoffs, winning both series, once in 2017 and once last year in 6 games. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, they're on an 8-game winning streak right now, and Chris Middleton should be back soon. And the Lakers are also on a winning streak. I believe those two are the hottest teams right now in the league. Aside from the Raptors, who are winning games without basically a total of maybe 40 points that's sitting on the bench right now based off injuries. What do you guys think about Russell Westbrook? I mean, do you feel like he's trending down in the opposite direction of Pascal Siakam? Because when I see him play, he plays with maximum effort, but I don't see him making a difference on the court. Like, he's a very streaky player. Like, when he has it going, he's hard to stop. And when he's cold as ice, you can leave him by himself with no one guarding him, and he will make the wrong decision. Like think about it. Like, he's the type of player that he'll be cold as ice, and you could be guarding him inside the paint, and he'll be standing outside on the 3-point line, and he'll take that 3 instead of driving it or kicking it to somebody who is feeling it. I mean, Houston's winning because Harden is going crazy with the scoring, and that's saving Russell Westbrook to a certain extent. But I feel like when the playoffs come around, he's going to get exposed, and that's when everyone's going to talk that ish and be like, Westbrook is just a cancer in every single, organization. You can't win with him. Why do you think the Raptors didn't make a trade for him and Paul George when Kawhi asked for Paul George before he left to LA? Do you really think they wanted to take Westbrook? Masai's not stupid. He knows what kind of player Westbrook is, and he's not going to bring that winning mentality to the Raptors. As much as he gets double-digit assists, as much as he gets those double-digit assists, he's a selfish player, and we know that. And I would always, I know this is going to be crazy to say, or a lot of people might think I'm on one, but I would rather have Kyle Lowry as my point guard than Russell Westbrook. Even though the talent difference is so much more higher for Westbrook if he were just to get his shit together, Lowry is a winning point guard. He proved it this past season in the finals. He came up big. He knows how to sacrifice. He'll do the little things to help your team win, even if he doesn't score. Even though he can score 25, 35 in a game, he tries to do the little things on defense, like taking charges and stuff, before, just throwing up shots for no reason. And he'd rather get other people involved and get them going, so that, it's a whole team thing, and it's going to be harder for other teams to like make defensive schemes to double team people when everyone has it going. When he loves to get people going before himself. You've seen it last year. He sacrificed for Kawhi Leonard. He let Pascal become the second option, and look at him this year. He's deferring to Pascal, and he has his nights where he goes crazy, like that game in Milwaukee where he went for 36. But he's a selfless player, and he proved that last season by winning that chip. And if you guys, I think that the Westbrook-Harden combo would not win a championship moving forward, even though they're both 30 years old and they have like 5-6 years to do it. I just don't see that working. They could be best friends all they want, but that doesn't mean they'll have chemistry on the floor. They're doing, like, James Harden's doing exactly what he did with Chris Paul with Russell Westbrook. The only difference is they're actually friends. I still think that the number one dynamic duo in the league are the Lakers duo with Anthony Davis and LeBron James right now. And then you got to go with the Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George. And then right now I'll say the third is Russell Westbrook and Harden based on the talent and the ceiling that can be there. They could really make it happen if they just get their shit together, like I said. But as long as the Clippers and Lakers stay together, I don't see the Rockets winning a championship in the next 5 years. If the Lakers and Clippers stay together as constructed. Let me know what you guys think about everything I talked about today. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos because I love doing them. And we'll be back with another Raptors podcast tomorrow night when they play the Knickerbockers, who are going to take this L in Toronto like they've been doing this whole season. And yeah, till tomorrow, stay blessed, and I'll see you soon. Peace.